It's back to school time, and this year I am going back with ease. So I'm getting my parents to sign up for Flo's super fast broadband service. Now I will have all the right tools needed to excel. Flo has a special offer when my parents pay only $50 monthly for 3 months. Plus, my name will be entered into a grand prize draw to win a laptop, and I will also receive free items including notebooks, pencils, and a backpack. This year, I plan to be on the top of my game. So be like me. Sign up today and you'll be on your way to learning made easy with Flo.
Flo, watch, talk, click.
This is CC6 Newsnight Week in Review for September 23rd to September 26, 2013. It was the week in which a popular political figure and former Deputy Speaker of the House passed away. Government announced that the duty-free barrel program has come to an end, and a billionaire investor was in the island to explore resort development opportunities. In sports, the GFA broke ground for construction of its long-awaited Goal 2 project. Details when we return.
Now it's easier and more convenient to pay your Flo monthly bills when you use the check drop box at our Dusty Highway office. Simply write your name and account number on an envelope with your check enclosed and deposit it into the check box, or write your phone number at the back of the check, attach the check to the bottom portion of your bill, then deposit it into the check box. It's that easy. For more information on bill payment option, visit our website at www.discoverflow.co. Flo, watch, talk, click.
It's a popular belief that all windows and doors are the same. But at St. Lou Metal, we know the difference. With true Grenadian craftsmanship and precision that gives the best quality and low guaranteed prices, you have a wide variety of windows and doors to choose from. Skylight windows, 2-half kitchen doors, aluminum doors with window inside and screen. We are the doors and windows people. St. Lou Metal, building number 19, Frequente Industrial Park. Call 439-6538.
Thanks for joining us. I am Samantha Williams-Worm. The duty-free barrel program has come to an end. The Ministry of Finance announced in a news release on Wednesday, says after consultation with the business community, non-government organizations and the labor movement, the decision was taken to discontinue the program with effect from this year. Keisha Grant, who is the press secretary to Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. Keith Mitchell, is quoted in the news release as saying that at a time when the country is asking international creditors for significant debt relief, government cannot continue with what it essentially is a tax giveaway. The decision to discontinue the program is also consistent with the government's policy to help boost the local business sector by encouraging more local purchases, the news release says. Mrs. Alexander Grant is further quoted as saying that government is still encouraging Grenadians abroad to support their families, whether by cash for local purchases or with barrels. These barrels will, however, be subject to normal duties. What is expected to be a major resort development is earmarked for the south of the island, and the latest investor to show interest is currently in the island, where several opportunities for expansion of the hotel stock are being explored.
Grenada is in line to benefit from major investment in the south by a family from the Middle East, which has already purchased property and is currently on the island exploring other options for resort development. Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell hosted the new investor in a small ceremony at the Maurice Bishop International Airport on Thursday, where the investment opportunities were discussed. The new investor, Egyptian Maguib Sawilis, was introduced by Ambassador Danny Fahkre, Grenada's Deputy High Commissioner to the UK.
Mr. Sawilis. Mr. Sawilis' family is the most prominent family in Egypt. They have internationally, they're very well respected. To give you an example, 45 to 50% of the Egyptian stock exchange are companies owned by the Sawilis family. They are they've been very much involved, Mr. Sawilis personally as well, in the telecom industry in Egypt and around the world. Construction, they probably are among the top, certainly among the top construction companies in the world. They are the major shareholders in the largest cement producing company in the world. And more relevant for what we're doing in Grenada is that they have been involved in the Middle East, in Switzerland, in South America, and I believe there's something in the US going on the tourism industry.
Mr. Sawilis, who is Grenada's ambassador to France, says he is delighted to have been introduced to the country.
Thanks to my friend Danny here, I was lucky enough to get introduced to this beautiful island and to a very nice man who happens to be your Prime Minister, who gave me the feeling of confidence and that I can count on being invest in this beautiful place without having the usual hazards of bureaucracy and complications and all that, which usually scares investors. I don't want to bore you with my track record, but as Danny said, we are the largest employer in our country, the largest taxpayer. We have a track record of development both in industrial areas and in tourism and development, But the truth is I'm here because I fell in love with this island and I fell in love with the people. I don't think there are many places in the world where you find so peaceful, loving, welcoming people like on this small island. I think, as they say, small is beautiful.
He has already purchased the Silver Sands Resort and is expected to close the deal soon for the Riviera property. He's also expected to meet with Dr. Charles Modica of St. George's University with a view to purchasing the institution's grandaunt's property. Dr. Mitchell says his administration wants to get it right, and he is sure they are heading in a direction that will redound positively for the economy.
In the case of Maguib and Danny, these are people with a history and with the resources. They're not going begging people, looking for people's money. They are using their resources to build. And one thing you could expect from somebody with their credibility and, of course, and history is that they do not want their names be attached to failures. And with that objective in mind and understanding in mind, we know that if they promise something, they will deliver it. And that is the type of individual that we wish to attract in our country at this time. And certainly that's the type of individual I believe the country will certainly want to see at this time.
Ambassador Fahkre says the Sawilis family has a track record of success in Egypt, Switzerland and the Middle East and is famous for a transformation of a piece of property that was in the desert to one of the most sought-after resorts in the Red Sea. Beverly Sinclair, CC6 Newsnight.
Grenada awoke to the news on Wednesday that the leader of one of the newest political parties in Grenada and the politician who brought a smile to people wherever he went, Winston Winty Frederick, has passed away.
Former parliamentary representative for St. Patrick East and Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Winston Frederick, has passed away. He was 70 years old. Mr. Frederick represented the Northern constituency during the period 1990 to 1995 under the Grenada United Labour Party, and last year registered his own party, the People's United Labour Party, to contest the general election which was held in February. Mr. Frederick passed away at the General Hospital on Tuesday, where he had been a patient for some time. A number of Grenadians expressed their condolences to family and friends, including Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, who spoke with CC6 Newsnight via telephone.
Well, on behalf of the government and people of this country, I would just like to express my deepest sympathy to the family of Brother Winty Fredericks, who we learned passed away just last evening. Winty served the Parliament of the country and, of course, during the period of the Grenada United Labour Party. And was always somebody, a jovial person, was always ready to make a joke here and there, and I never was the type of person in the politics that appeared to be carry hostility, personal hostility to people. He made his jokes, he made his comments, negative or positive, but was never with any hostile intention. So in that sense, that he contributed, in a sense, positively to the proper atmosphere in the parliament of the country.
Former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas, who was one of Winty's rivals for the St. Patrick East seat in the February 19 election, also spoke with CC6 Newsnight via telephone. He says Mr. Frederick was a man very attached to the families and community of Mount Rose.
Mr. Frederick was always a lively person. Notwithstanding we belong to different political party, we always maintain a very good relationship. He brought a liveliness to the parliament. He was a member of parliament for St. Patrick's East from 1990 to 1995, and also deputy speaker. And he really brought some light moments in the parliament, you know, the way he made his presentation and his emphasis on certain issues. He was very strong on agriculture. He really was an advocate for improvement in the agricultural sector. And I would regard him as a person who really made a contribution, and a person who didn't hold anything against anybody. He was a friend to all the politicians, as far as I know. Winty was everybody's friend, and he speaks his mind, and he made his contribution. So it's really a loss to us, you know, as a nation. I mean, to his family in particular, and friends.
Valdon Paul, who also contested the St. Patrick's East seat against Mr. Frederick in the 2013 election, says Mr. Frederick can be described as the most humorous politician Grenada has ever seen.
He has always been a contributor to the political issues, you know, especially around the election time, you know, and it is sad of his passing, you know. We would all miss him. And more to that, he has been rather humorous, you know, and I know some of that would be well missed, you know, in any upcoming election. So Winty has always expressed his desire to contribute to the development of Grenada, you know. So it is a sad passing, you know. In all instances, when one passed, it is sad for friends and family.
The pulp leader had promised during his election campaign to build a bridge to Carriacou and to bring Disneyland to Grenada. He captured a mere 11 votes in the national polls. Sherry and Noel, CC6 Newsnight.
When we return, strict criteria to be laid out for commercialization of government estates.
Only one dishwashing liquid can do the job. Quicks is the expert in taking out the toughest grease easily. You know you can trust it. Quicks cuts grease better. Full stop.
Digicel makes you smile. Double the smiles, double the value. Free SMS, free international and local. Free magic number calls. Extra credit when you top up 10 or more. And get rewarded for your top up. Digicel gives you more to keep you smiling. Get free SMS when you top up with $10. Magic number calls when you top up with $15. Free international once you top up with $20. Free local calls to all Digicel number. Extra credit for $30 or more. You get more. 10% bonus credit to do anything you want. Digicel makes you smile. Double the smiles, double the value. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
Breeze removes stains in the first wash. The other detergents, not always. You have to wash it all again and use twice the amount. So, which one costs more? Do the math. Choose Breeze. Unbeatable stain removal.
Welcome back. An opportunity has again been presented to government to become major shareholders in the island's lone electricity company, as more than 50% of the company is for sale, and the state has first option to buy, an offer which is being favorably considered.
The government of Grenada says it has agreed in principle to buy 51% shares in Grenlec held by WRB, a company based in Tampa, Florida. Since last year, WRB has been trying to sell its Grenlec shares, and after the government's refusal then, had been in negotiations with Canadian company Emera for the sale. CC6 Newsnight understands that the deal with Emera was close to being signed, but the company withdrew at the last minute amidst fears that the conditions of the existing Grenlec agreement with government would be changed. Minister of Public Utilities Honourable Gregory Bowen, in an interview with CC6 Newsnight on Tuesday, outlines why government declined the previous sale.
The reason why Grenlec or WRB did not consummate the arrangement after the government would have failed to exercise the option was mainly because this new entity was looking at the government that they saw in waiting and hearing our clear indication that monopoly will not continue. They sort of backed off the table with respect to the price. But it was totally up to the government, because you must give government that option before you engage the other persons. Now that the cycle is repeating itself, this administration is given the option. And I'm happy to report that we have responded to WRB indicating that we will exercise that option.
The minister explains how funds will be sourced to purchase the shares.
Whether or not we borrow, Grenada will benefit so much that borrowing a sum of money, whether it's $20, $30, $40 million, and having to pay the interest on it, and with a reduction in the price of electricity, the economy will benefit so much that it will come back and it will pay for the loan in 10 or 20 years. But other institutions, again, who support what we are doing could come up with the financing. In any event, the shares must be paid for. Okay, so we can get it either through a loan or a very concessionary arrangement, or we could get it through ownership. So you buy the money, you buy the shares, but you sell it. So over a very short period of time, you would recover your monies. Hopefully, there will be great interest in the shares.
With the government's plans to move away from monopolies in any industry, the minister says the shares will be resold locally to interested individuals and companies.
When government will control the company, the monopoly will go, because the monopoly will be the monopoly will be with government.
Right.
So we purchase and we extract the monopoly and out of it. Okay. Thereafter, we will give the shares, and we could sell the shares to Grenadians, to any entity.
This is my question.
Oh, yes.
Once you have the monopoly, you're going to resell the shares?
Sure. It is not our policy to say that we want to manage the company again. So whoever wants it, you know that you will come in. The public must know that it will now be operated in a competitive environment. Consumers will be able to put up their own systems, renewable systems in particular. The hotels will be able to do this and to sell excess back to the grid.
The minister says he hopes the resale of the shares and the expansion of the renewable energy projects by individuals and companies will considerably lower electricity costs. Wayne Francis Wright, CC6 Newsnight.
In an effort to boost local production and reduce food imports, government is offering its estates to people interested in farming. But the arrangement does not include sale of the properties, as certain strict criteria must be met before the property is handed over.
The government has reaffirmed its commitment to the commercialization of 4 estates in Grenada and announced in a media conference on Tuesday the criteria agreed by Cabinet for interested individuals or companies to be eligible. Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture, Senator Simon Steele, gave details of the program and says it will not include any privatization of government estates.
This is the commercialization of the estates. This is not a privatization process. This is where government, in partnership with the private sector, government will lease its 4 out of its 5 estates, 3 in Grenada, 1 in Carriacou, to private individuals who have the financial means and the technical expertise to efficiently and productively manage these estates.
Minister Steele says government's handling of their estates in the past has been below par, and production and revenue suffered because of it. The country's $600 million a year food import bill must be lowered, he says, because it is a major burden on the economy and has adverse effects on local food prices.
Historically, government has failed to operate these estates at efficiency levels and productivity levels that are required. Each year, government pumps millions of dollars into the estates, and we receive very, very little in return. Now, when we talk about food security and the importance of food security for us here in Grenada, that scenario cannot continue. When we talk about the need for us to increase production for the export market, agricultural export market, which is important for us to drive our economy, then the scenario that we currently have with the poor management of the estates cannot continue.
People who wish to take up the government's offer must meet the criteria set by Cabinet.
The estates will be used for agriculture, agribusiness, agro-processing, agro-tourism. The intention is not to strip and concretize these estates for real estate development. It is purely geared towards increasing our agricultural output. Investors that we are seeking will have both the technical and the financial means to put the necessary technical and financial resources into those estates to put them into full production. The lands will remain government lands, so they cannot be vested into the company. There is no government guarantee with regard to this arrangement. The lands cannot be used as collateral and put at risk for the investors to raise their funds.
The Minister of State says there are 92 unionized workers on the estates and all rights and legal obligations will be honored. All willing and capable employees who wish to continue working on the estates will be allowed to do so. Wayne Francis Wright, CC6 Newsnight.
Coming up in sports, GNA calling all netballers to try out for netball teams.
Cool me down. Nothing can hard in my country. So I open up a crib. Yes.
Hey, in order that I should marry.
When did you jump soca?
Friendliest people you'll ever meet. Wise man with black stone beside it.
Live on Community Channel 6 every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's Sound System Saturday.
Grenada, you are being watched by the hardest hitting commentary team ever assembled, and they tell you as they see it every Monday at 8 p.m. on Community Channel 6. Watchdog.
Biting commentary.
A biting commentary. Repeat broadcast Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Biting commentary.
Welcome back. An official sword-turning ceremony to signal the start of what is dubbed the Goal 2 project, a new administrative building for the Grenada Football Association, was held at the National Stadium on Thursday.
Several government officials, including Minister of Sports Emmeline Pear, Permanent Secretary Vida Bruno Victor, President and General Secretary of GFA Chenny Joseph and Christopher Kudjo respectively, and special guests, President of the Confederation of North, Central American and Caribbean Association Football Jeffrey Webb and his team were present for the short ceremony. Addressing the small gathering, President Joseph says the Goal 2 project means a lot to the association.
The idea behind this is the GFA will be building an administrative building. It would be 2 floors to house the office of the secretariat, as well as to have a cafeteria and hopefully a gym. I'm told it's going to occupy most of the land I'm standing on. But anyhow, when the time is right, we will see what it looks like. And we are excited that finally we can at least do some sod turning. It is a place where I have grown up and I'm familiar with, and I have no problem with the location.
The new GFA administrative building will be placed at the Ministry of Lands complex at Queen's Park, St. George.
They have been very consistent in their request. They have been on our backs to make sure that this is a reality, and I want to congratulate them for that. Consistency is always very important. But more so, I want to say that this government, this new National Party administration, is clear as it relates to national development and the importance of sports in national development. And that is why we've delivered. It has been a challenge. It has taken a lot of back and forth to get here. It has involved a number of ministries and officials. But we were clear on one thing, that we wanted to give support to the GFA in the construction of a permanent home for the further development of football in Grenada.
The Goal 2 project is being financed by FIFA to the tune of $1.3 million Eastern Caribbean dollars and is expected to commence shortly, as a drawing of the new building has also been created.
The Grenada Netball Association is making an urgent call to managers, team coaches, clubs and affiliates that training for national squads have resumed.
Training for the national teams, which began on Monday, is being held every Monday and Wednesday from 5 p.m. at the Tantine Sporting Complex in St. George. President of the GNA, Janice Charles, is encouraging all affiliates to attend training sessions. She says they also hope to use the upcoming GNA organized intersector netball tournament to help in preparation for the national teams.
So far, we've called one meeting in preparation for that GNA competition, and we've implored on the persons present, the team managers and captains, to put their teams together. Please don't wait for the last moment and prepare. So we understand, for instance, we had the Ministry of Sports being represented at the meeting, and we know over the years the Ministry of Sports has been a team to be reckoned with. We can't stop that. We can't tell people where to go find employment. If you're talented, we expect you to share the talent, spread the love, and build team, build camaraderie. So we wouldn't be able to keep out the Ministry of Sports, who's been the top team for the last few years, and we would want other teams to come and share. We had the team from the Morris Bishop International Airport, who was constituted by mostly national players last year too, and that was a good competition there. So we would hope they will come back again and keep the competition alive.
The president says Grenada has always produced excellent netballers, and they hope to continue doing so.
That's all we have for you in Sports on 6. A recap of the headlines is next. Recapping the headlines. It was the week in which a popular figure and former Deputy Speaker of the House passed away. Government announced that the duty-free barrel program has come to an end, and a billionaire investor was in the island to explore resort development opportunities. In sports, the GFA broke ground for the construction of its long-awaited Goal 2 project. That brings us to the end of CC6 Newsnight Weekend Review for September 23rd to September 26, 2013. Top stories from CC6 Newsnight can also be seen on our Facebook page, Flow Community Channel 6. On behalf of the news team, I'm Samantha Williams-Worm, thanking you for joining us.